There was a house in our area that was known for having really cool murals inside done by the previous tenant. Outside was pretty tame. She has a pre-built facade to make the house look like a cottage. Inside, all hand-done murals of Disney movies and fairy tales. The lady was an art teacher when she was younger, and later she started one of those paint with wine type business, which she did well before fully retiring to just doing paint commissions and furniture decorating. She's always been nice to everyone, even when I've been an ass to her when she complained about the truck being loud or speeding. We worked that out and been friends since. She had an agreement with the original landlord about the art. Since it wasn't outside, it wasn't going to be a problem. She's been living in that house since the mid-'80s with promises of getting the house in time. Unfortunately, he passed before anything was signed and legitimized, and his kids took over. One of the sons visited the house to inspect it with his daughter, and apparently they fell in love and wanted the art house for his daughter. My neighbor didn't have a lease, which made the fight harder, and they used the art on the walls as an excuse to kick her out. She was devastated, but she was able to buy a property that fits her needs at the last minute in another state that had a full art studio area on the first floor. She originally wanted to leave the house as is without the cottage-looking front, but my friend offered to restore the house to Rebecca standards for free since he needed to figure out how to use powered paint sprayers. He also had a friend that did landscaping to help her wear the front of the house. She agreed, and we moved all her furniture out to storage units, and my friend let her stay in his guest house free of charge if she did a mural on the living room wall. She had the house cleaned out in a week. On the second week, they buffed all the walls with sanders. All the murals from the front to back were gone. It just looked like blotches of colors. My friend, being the ever-diligent painter that he is, masked anything that wasn't paint and sprayed Kills primer everywhere with his new toy sprayer. This thing was pretty bad, as you can spray a whole wall in 4 passes. After the paint dried, he used his Rebecca collection of colors to essentially kill the character of the house. Rebecca condition is what we call flipper houses. It's always the same fucking colors, white with grays all over the house and the shitty dark tone pergo flooring. The floors were tile, so he left it alone, but the walls were white semi-gloss. The wood paneling walls, trim, switch covers, outlet covers, counters, and cabinets were sprayed in the most depressing shade of gray. The house looked dead inside when I went in to check it out. It was weird not seeing all the murals. The front of the house was the last project she agreed to give his landscaping friend the bushes in exchange for the labor of removing the cottage facade without breaking it. The landscaper basically ripped everything out and just dumped gravel and sand with a boulder for decoration. This weekend I went to fix some problems at an old neighbor's house and noticed the house was still empty and asked the neighbor if had seen anyone move in. He said earlier in the week there was some U-Hauls there, but none of them were unloaded, and that was the last time they remember seeing anyone there. Bet that daughter was in for a surprise when she saw the house get turned into a basic hellhole. Story 2. Don't underestimate your work. I'm a paramedic, but don't let our most swag-laden nerds fool you. We don't do cool shit every day. It's a regular-ass job, but with moments of sheer terror, stress, and tons of things to do, but only at certain random times. After years working regular ambulance, I needed to go work where things were less stressful. Thankfully, a lot of industrial projects need paramedics. The exchange is fair but brutal. I avoided the stress in exchange for staggering periods of crushing boredom. Nobody wants me to be busy on an oil well completion. I'm there in just in case shit goes down and to secure lower insurance rates. There are way more different private companies that fill contracts to provide medical staff for industry than you'd believe. If work dries up at one company, I'm going to find the company that has work and sign on with them. All the companies understand this. It's only casual, classed work, even if you do 84 hours a week, 3 weeks a month. Mercenaries go where money is, just like me. The quality of the company varies. Some companies give you good quality gear and others give you crap that looks like it was made by Fisher-Price but less durable. Okay, so what if the saline did expire in 2009? It's still a liquid, right? The pay is around the same. Paramedics aren't available in huge abundance. I don't know about any other industry, but we are an employee's market right now. For some weird reason, the average time people like being paramedics is 10 years. Whatever a company is paying its staff who's brand new and just out of school, I won't be working for them without being paid more than that. I may be an old man. In fact, I'm quite sure I am. My experience has value. I was contacted online by a company about a 24-day contract with possible work after that. My first question is always about pay. The general manager seemed personable and charismatic on the phone. He asked me what I have been making on average. $34 per hour is the middle ground, I said. He replied, okay, great. We can be competitive with that wage. Well, fuck. I don't know why I didn't press him on an exact number and how I missed the weasel word, competitive. I am normally way too suspicious and cynical to not get specifics or miss a huge red flag like that. I don't know where this sudden faith in the good intentions of strangers came from. It's never been there before. I agreed to start heading in my own car to their office the next day. It was a 9-ish hour drive away. If you think that's a dumb thing to do without getting anything in writing, well, maybe. It's just how it works being a paramedic on industrial jobs. Nobody ever tired to fuck me before, and it always goes the same. Hi, can you start on this day? Great! Drive to this town and grab your equipment. Do paperwork to become an employee. Go to job. The pay has always been what was agreed to, verbally or in writing. I arrived at this janky yard with an office trailer and met with the GM. He started talking about the project, which was an oil well frack, a large job, and why it needed my level of care. All right, so there's a large chance of no incidents, and a small chance something will explode and kill us all. We toured the office and equipment before we went to his office to complete onboarding paperwork. He said to me, as soon as you sign the employment agreement, we can get you on the road. The job is set up to begin tomorrow. I agreed that I could get on the road as soon as we fixed the error on my hourly rate. $26 per hour, as most people know, is not competitive with $34 per hour. He did confirm that was the rate they wanted to pay me for the 24-day job. I let the GM know that I didn't like the deceptiveness or driving 800 kilometers for the experience. I didn't share his thoughts on the meanings of certain words. The GM said, I hope you don't hold me responsible for the mismatch with our communication and your expectations. He was 100% convinced I would agree to that wage before I'd go home empty-handed. Things like, you're here anyway, and just this once came up. I already see myself in the future, burning this man in effigy. I'll be holding hands and singing Kumbaya with his family at the same time. He clearly thinks he's the smartest person in the room everywhere he goes. I can't see any evidence he's aware how transparent his bullshit is. He's not in any danger of being appointed to the Royal Society by mistake. If I was risking homelessness, I would have done it. It's harder to exploit people if they don't risk immediate economic ruin. I have savings. During that time in history and during that season of the year, it actually wouldn't have been unreasonable to get a different job the same week or even the same day. Getting too many job offers was the problem, not too little. I let the guy know that I wasn't interested in the job at that wage. You'd be very wrong in thinking he let that be the end. He kept showing me how much contempt he had for me as a person. 1, he says, we could come up in wages. It might mean some bills don't get paid on time. We could go up to $30 per hour. What do you say about that? I said, you're still about $4 per hour away from it being a solution. 2, he started talking about how it's tough being a small company that nobody helps. We have to bid low on jobs to get them. We can't survive if we don't. And that means we can't pay the most. We can't compete without doing that. Maybe you just don't understand capitalism or running a business. 3, vague, non-specific statements and pledges of future benefits occurred. The gist of it was, we help people who help us. Or, we remember our friends and loyalty eventually pays dividends. I don't know about others, but I hate when an employer makes statements about them being more like family. Maybe your family? Nobody in my family tries to fuck me and they don't financially abuse other relatives. I work for money. I'm a professional. I hold a professional license and you pay me for my professional skills. If the quality you're looking for above all else is loyalty, hire a fucking golden retriever. All of his manipulative nonsense might have worked on me when I was a younger lad and viewed life in a rosier shade. I'm not special. Most veteran paramedics wouldn't react much differently. I told him that I was leaving, got in my car and said burn my resume. Good luck in your quest to find someone desperate enough to debase themselves. I got about 15 to 20 minutes down the highway before I took a call from the GM. Well, fuck it. Why not answer? I'm actually curious why he wants to talk to me. In that time frame, he had called their customer, the billion-dollar oil company, and told them they had no paramedic for the next day. Well, that sucks, because as this guy explained it to me, they couldn't legally do any work if one wasn't on site. The oil barons must have said some ugly and menacing words to him, because when we talked he was tripping over himself to get me to come back for this job. He kept saying $34 per hour is fine. Whatever, they'll pay it. I'm a special boy and they're spoiling me with my allowance. He tried hard to be personable and act like my long-term bestie. Joked about the owner not being able to lease a new Mercedes until next year. Laughs and chuckles, because who cares, right? At least they won't be stuck paying for all the costs of putting a whole frac site on standby. The costs of a whole frac site, you say? Why would you tell me this? Wars have been lost because of smaller intelligence breaches, This is how Canada will win a war. Trump orders fire all nukes at Ottawa. When more time than should be required has passed, an affirmative is relayed, delivered all nukes to Ottawa. I'm thankful you gave me such a useful thing, but I'm not thankful enough to not use it against you almost immediately. I fought the impulse to engage in comical levels of extortion. Everyone should admire my restraint. My lower ballpark for frack work is $250,000 per day. I chose an extra $6 per hour above my initial wage. I arrived there being willing to cut a small company some slack on my regular $34 per hour. Not even an hour after dealing with their manager, I felt justified in any outrageous piratical demand. The one time I leave my Jolly Roger flag at home. When I told the GM that I'd be happy to drive back for this job, he made an audible noise of relief. His bacon must have been truly torched without me returning. That moment of relief soured when I told him I wasn't going to do it without being paid $40 per hour. That guy didn't take it with grace. What? That's not the wage you told me you normally make. You can't do that. He's right. That's the top dollar I made for a short notice. Must be done kind of job. He's very wrong if he thinks I can't be a huge cunt when negotiating my wage. Laws aren't written to enforce politeness. I confirmed this was a recent price change and stated, I hope you don't hold me responsible for this sudden increase in labor costs. I don't control the invisible hand of economies. Market forces dictate wages. Right now, there's an urgent need for skilled people and a shortage of an available workforce. He agreed to my offer. I'm not ignorant about his lack of options. I got an explicit wage offer in multiple pieces of writing. I wasn't surprised to learn he's not a gracious loser. The snide remarks kept coming. Shutting him up was a Herculean task not worth my effort. He told me that I might be damaging myself long-term as this could harm my reputation and lose me future employment. Damage my reputation for being a competent paramedic who also behaves like a prick with regularity? Heaven forbid the EMS community discovers my abrasive nature and lack of decorum. Please don't inform everyone about how I don't feel the need to use a language filter in nearly every situation. You can't alienate me from fucking anyone, bro. I've beaten you to it by eons. My paycheck was what I was expecting it to be without any fuckery. TBH, I actually wasn't convinced that's how it would all play out. The job was fine. Nothing worth remembering. I only ever did the 24-day job. I didn't ask about more work and they didn't offer. I got in row not long after. Don't underestimate your own value. TLDR, I was willing to compromise on my hourly rate. The company insisted that meant $7 per hour less. My second compromise wasn't one they could refuse and was $6 per hour more than my previous offer.